Greetings, my name is Stephen French, and I'd like to show you how to build a spring floor. As I'm sure some of you know, I live directly underneath my spring floor here at Beastwood, and I've had a few people ask me how to build a floor, how much it costs, if it's affordable or reasonable or practical, and I finally have everything I need to make this video and kind of clear up some things, get some more information out there, and hopefully inspire some people to make their own floors at their own houses, because it's amazing. I would love to see as many people as possible trying to do this, and if I can do anything to help, that's what I'm here for. So after this video, if you still have any questions, feel free to message me on any of my social media or just write in the comments, and I'll do my best to get back to you and relay any more information that I can come up with. So let's get to it. The first thing we need to cover is materials. What do you need to make a floor? And then we'll go into what mistakes you can avoid by listening to the mistakes that we've made, and then go into actually making a floor. I spent a lot of yesterday building a replica scale floor. I've recorded all of it and we'll be going over a lot of that today so you can see what the process actually looks like. And it's also pretty damn adorable. Look at those springs. Just look at those springs real quick. We'll get rid of the tape. Hella cute. So if you don't already know, spring floors require 2 layers of plywood. For our floor, and I really wouldn't recommend anything less stable than this, we are using a 3-ply RTD sheathing, which is the bottom layer, and we're using a 4-ply RTD sheathing for the top layer. You're obviously going to need springs or some sort of springy surface. I've heard of people using old tires or foam blocks. There's a few alternatives. We went with gymnastic springs, so everything I'll be making is geared more towards that. You will also need screws or washers to mount your springs to the boards, unless again you use something else. In that case, I don't quite know what to help you with. You're going to need some type of padding to go over the floor. This can be puzzle mats like we've used in our case, although we're not too satisfied with that. This can be panel mats, dojo mats, really anything soft, even just a few different layers of carpet or carpet foam. Just something to take the sting away from hitting the plywood. And on top of that, you're going to need carpet. A surface on top that you can trick off of and preferably not slip around. So for all the materials that we've used, I will be linking in the description as to where we found them or just estimate prices or locations to buy them. And I will later add up the prices to fit a 100 square foot floor. That way you can extrapolate that price to however much area you need to cover. I imagine it to be standard, but I'm not certain on that. So in our area, our plywood comes in 4 foot by 8 foot sheets, which is pretty ideal for making spring floors. At a local Home Depot for us, each sheet of the 3-ply board was $18.45 before tax, and the 4-ply was $19.47. You're going to need a spring every square foot. That's the minimum requirement for this floor to kind of be stable. Springs can be found online for anywhere from $1.30, $1.40 and up. Might be able to find better deals, might even be able to find some from an old gymnastics center. Looking around will definitely be your friend there. I'm not sure of the best route. As I said, you're going to need screws or washers, something to hold your springs or whatever you're using down. We picked these up at Home Depot as well. The screws were a $10 pack of 100 screws. So if you're doing a 100 square foot floor for this example, that's all you would need. And the washers came in a pack of 100 as well for only $5. You're gonna need some type of padding to go over the plywood, something to take that sting away. And we chose to go with 1/2-inch puzzle mats from Harbor Freights. Works pretty well, but we would have liked something a little bit thicker, and we later found deals that were similar price for some proper gymnastics mats, so I think I would encourage that route a little more. For carpeting, we looked all around, but our best bet was just going to a local carpet shop that was not even 3 miles down the road. So we went down, we got some quotes on different carpet prices, and we found a pretty stable carpet for around I think it was like $1.36. It was $1.50 or less per foot. Or per square foot. So we ordered that. We had their interior decorator tell us the color, which gave us our pink floor, which I actually love. Before I go into the net cost of everything and what it would cost to build a 100 square foot floor, there's a couple things that we did wrong that maybe you can avoid. For starters, our big mistake is we tried to save a lot of money on the wood. We tried to buy particle board, as we've heard of gyms doing this before, and the particle board was about $8 a sheet. So being 2 to 3 times cheaper, it seemed like a great idea. Unfortunately, particle board has no flex to it. It's just the chip wood where you get all the pieces of crap wood all glued and pressured together. It holds pretty well as a wall, but once you flex it, it just rips apart. So we've had a few breaks in the floor that we are replacing with the 3-ply, and although we only have about a half a sheet of 3-ply underneath now, and the rest is particle board, the rest will be turned into 3-ply as we go on. The 3-ply boards haven't broken yet, but we did have a problem with one of them bowing. You can see that in the previous video. A second issue that we had is, again, we went with the puzzle mats, whereas we found some gymnastics foam. I can try to link to that in the description. It was a little bit more money, but it was thicker, and I think it would have been better. I am pleased with the puzzle mats, and if you can find something as cheap as we did, it's definitely not bad. It just could have been a little better, so if you can afford it, I would suggest that too. Our carpet is super nice, although it does shed quite a bit, and the vacuums, well, actually we just broke the vacuum recently, and I'm pretty sure it was because of all of that. But it wasn't a very good vacuum, so I don't know, that one's kind of at your own risk, I guess. And lastly, we wasted about $30 on screws. We tried to cheap out and go for the $5 sheet metal screws as opposed to the wood screws, which I don't think I mentioned. The screws need to be an inch long. You don't want them to be so long that they pierce through the bottom board into the top, because they're only being screwed into the bottom sheet of plywood. So you want to keep those fairly short. I think we used an inch screw and it worked out pretty well. If you don't know what a spring looks like, it's one of these. So you have 2 plastic ends, 1 metal spring, and the ends kind of just twist apart. It's not easy, but it's not too bad. You're going to want to get your wood screw with suggested a washer. You may not need it, but it helps. But yeah, that just goes through, a little bit left, screws into the plywood. You're good to go. The spring just goes and they click together. So you just kind of push until you hear a click. You're set. Really easy to install across the whole floor, just a little bit tedious. So with all of the prices so far, a 100 square foot floor is going to cost you around $570. Keep in mind that this price can go up or down. I base this on buying 3 sheets of each board, and if you do the math, 3 sheets of 4 foot by 8 foot wood will only cover 96 square foot of floor, so you will need an extra 2x2 sheet of both the 3-ply and the 4-ply. Hopefully you can pick that up somewhere else. If not, you can buy a cheaper board for that and just keep that in a corner of the room that won't be used very often, instead of having to waste all the money on a whole sheet of 4x8 just to cut out a 2x2. But at the same time, it does help to have some extra wood, so I would encourage you to buy a few more anyhow if you can afford it. So that's really all you need for materials. So again, for a 100 square foot floor, it's going to cost you around $570. You're going to need 3 sheets of plywood for the bottom layer, 3 sheets for the top layer. Again, my suggestions would be 3-ply and 4-ply. Any weaker than that, you're likely going to be repairing stuff pretty often. You're going to need 100 springs, and they should come with the mounting hardware if you get them off of a gymnastics website. We don't have that luxury, so we had to buy the screw separately. And you're going to need 100 square foot of both padding and carpet. If you can find those together or any other alternatives or such, that might be a chance for you to save some money. That's really not that bad, but 100 square foot really isn't that big. It's just a 10 foot by 10 foot square. We have about 300 square foot at Beastwood, but it's not consistent across one floor. It's kind of split between a living room and a side off dining room. So we're really only using about 200 square foot, maybe, give or take, for the main floor, which seems to be enough. A 300 square would be probably ideal, in my opinion. Altogether, our floor at Beastwood is around $1,700. That was weird. So let's look at the materials that go into building a mini floor, which was just a little crafty experiment that actually I had a lot of fun with. So I built a mini floor out of basically a bunch of crap that I found either around my house or at Walmart. So in place of the plywood, I'm using 2 different types of cardboard. We have a thin white cardboard resembling the 3-ply wood. We have a thicker brown cardboard representing the 4-ply wood. And I cut up some foam board to make the puzzle mats. It was actually a lot of fun. For the carpet, I went just with sheets of felt paper, super cheap, and it's pretty much a small carpet, and it was kind of perfect. I'm dropping everything. Oh, it's gone forever. Lastly, for springs and hardware, I used a hot glue gun with hot glue and some little spring looking things. They're just kind of the ends from hobby jewelry kits. Came in bags of however many, and I just bought a couple of those. I don't want to lose these. I don't know why. They do not matter to my life. I need to blow my nose. For this project, I've cut the cardboard into 4-inch by 8-inch squares, so that I'm scaling down a 100 square foot floor into a 100 square inch floor, and it'll pretty much just be the same. You can kind of just zoom in the camera and it'll look exactly like everything else. I hope. So now that we know what all the material is, let's look at how it was actually made. So to start off, you're going to need to take your 4x8 pieces of plywood and you're going to need to cut them all into 4x4 squares. From there, you're going to line them up along the floor. You don't need to spread them all out, but just kind of lay them flat on the ground. The springs need to be set 1 square foot apart, so you want them to line up 6 inches away from the edge, and then there will be 16 springs per board. I'm just drawing 4 lines down, 4 lines across, getting the 16 intersecting points, and then attaching all of the springs there. Super glue works a lot faster than a screw gun, but it's really not too different. And this is roughly what it looks like when you're done. Just everything's a bit bigger. Do that for the rest of your boards and you just stack them up on the side. Here I was still determined to do a 96 square foot floor, well, square inch, I'm sorry. Decided to change it up and make it 100 square inches and just cut out an extra 2 inch by 2 inch board. That would be what I was talking about before with the extra plywood. This is a super important part, probably the most important as far as the structure of the floor. You need the top layer of cardboard to line up on top of the intersecting points on the bottom floor. So you'll notice that all 4 corners are meeting up at the middle of the top board. When you're all done with that, lay out all of the boards spring down across the surface that you're trying to cover. Make them as snug as you can, try not to leave any gaps in between, and make sure that you have all of your top layers cut out. Here I am putting pieces of double-sided tape at every corner, on every edge, and in the middle of every 4x4 piece. It's not required, but you want to do the same with Velcro. Because I was working with cardboard, there wasn't enough weight to hold everything together, so I threw in some electrical tape. This isn't a step you would do with real materials, but needed to be done for this small scale. Unfortunately, I forgot about the double-sided tape on top.
Fuck. Ah!
Why'd I do that? Why do you stick so well to my table? I gave up on using the double-sided tape, as you can see that didn't work too well, so I just hot glued all the pieces down. The puzzle mats was just as easy as you'd expect. Just lay them out across the floor. You don't need to secure the puzzle mats or whatever padding you use to the floor. Once that's secure, you're ready to roll out the carpet. If you have any seams in the carpet, you can use Velcro or even carpet seams. It's what we're going to be doing between our 2 floors, but we haven't had to yet, and it actually hasn't created any problems. And there we have it, a scale model of a 100, whoa! Springs don't pop off that easy on a real floor. A scale model of a 100 square foot floor. This is 10 inches by 10 inches. And yeah, came out pretty nice. So hopefully this video helped. Hopefully it taught you a little bit on how to build a floor, what it costs, and if it's something that might be possible for you to do. I live in a house with 4 other trickers, and it really wasn't that bad. We haven't finished paying everybody back. I hope that didn't break. We didn't finish paying everybody back. Constantine still has the biggest tab, so hopefully we can sort all of that out soon. So yes, just get a friend who's willing to take out a credit card, pay him back later. Everything's going to be great. So build a floor. If you do, if you have any suggestions, any questions, please comment below. I would love to help out in any way that I can, and I'd be even more excited to see what anybody else comes up with. So if you build a floor, make a video, make a post, send a picture. I don't care, I just want to see it. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you learned something. And until next time, I'm still Stephen French. Have a nice day. What's better than a spring floor? Another one.
Wow, this kid killed the fucking session.
That's called killing the session.
This kid killed the goddamn session, dude.